It was a dark night, and the silence of the desolate forest was broken by the soft whispers of the wind. A young man, with icy hair and eyes that mirrored the frost, stood amidst waves of water and ice. In his hand, he held a sword that seemed to be carved from winter itself, a blade so cold it could freeze the blood in one's veins. The angry roar of water echoed in the distance, as if a raging river protested with its might. Yet he remained indifferent to nature's clamor, commanding his silent army of frozen creatures kneeling before him. Each drop of flowing water that touched his blade turned into ice, joining the ranks of his frozen legion. The man's face was devoid of emotion, but his gaze carried the weight of a tortured past. He was cursed, not for what he had done, but for what he had allowed to happen. The sword he now wielded had once been a gift from the gods of the seas, a power to command the waves and shape ice to his will. But the price of such power had been his soul. The barren trees around him stood like silent witnesses to his tragedy. No leaves or life remained, only branches reaching toward the sky as if screaming in despair. The young man, with a voice that sent chills through the heart of nature, declared,
"You who once raged against me now kneel before me. Yet this victory tastes bitter, for all I have gained has come at the cost of my humanity."
The river nearby suddenly roared. Its waves transformed into living entities, as though nature itself had decided to rebel against him. But he raised his sword, and with a single motion, the surging waters turned into a mass of ice. The aquatic beings, now frozen statues, still bore expressions of anger and defiance.
"Why do you refuse to yield?"
His weary whisper echoed through the darkness. He didn't wish for this battle to continue, but the sword in his hand craved destruction with an insatiable thirst. Each time he used its power, another piece of his soul froze, perhaps never to thaw again. Suddenly, a woman's voice emerged from the forest. Warm and contrasting against the icy surroundings, it said,
"Power imposed upon nature will always rise against its wielder."
He turned to see her, a woman with hair like fire and eyes that seemed to draw their essence from the ocean's depths. She approached slowly and added,
"This sword has made you its slave rather than its master. But it's not too late if you learn to harmonize with nature instead of opposing it."
The man stared at the sword for a moment. The metal's coldness now seeped beyond his skin, reaching his heart. The woman's voice, like a warm breeze, stirred doubts within him. Could he let go of this power? Without it, would there be anything left of him? Before he could answer, a swirl of ice and water enveloped them. Fate, in this cold war, chose a new path. For a brief moment, time seemed to stand still. The man found himself in a realm of ice and water, where another woman's voice resonated from within the sword.
"You were chosen for power, but the true choice still lies ahead. Are you a force to halt the world, or a current to set it flowing again?"
The waves formed a circle around him and the fiery-haired woman, as though nature itself challenged his hesitation. She stepped closer and said,
"Every moment that passes, you become less human and more like the frost. But one option remains: surrender."
The man gazed deeply into her eyes, a moment heavy with the weight of history and the future.
"If I let go of this sword, what will be left of me?"
The woman offered a sorrowful smile.
"Perhaps what you lost can be found again."
He took a deep breath, raised the sword, and for the first time, instead of commanding the ice, he commanded the water.
"Flow."
The raging waves surged forward, embracing the ice. The sword in his hands began to melt, each droplet restoring a long-lost warmth to his being. The woman watched him with tearful eyes.
"You have chosen. Now nature can breathe again."
The man, no longer the ruler of frost but a human restored to his essence, looked up at the sky as the first rays of sunlight broke through.
"His name is Icendor.